And my wife, who's sitting next to me, looks at me and goes, "Honey, where's your mom?" I was like, "What?" She goes, "Where's your mom's ashes?" And I'm like, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me right now."
I'm so. This is like the comedy of errors.
Listen,
Virgil.
I said this is a National Lampoon's movie. Is what this is. I'm not Clark Griswold, right?
To another episode of the DCL Duo podcast brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. I am your host today, Sam. I am solo. You always know that if you hear my voice doing the show intro, of course, because Brian usually does the show intro. But never fear, I am not alone. I have a fabulous guest with me. In fact, so fabulous that even though his sailing is a little bit older than I typically would like to talk about on the show, I was like, I got to talk to this guy because he has such a cool backstory, such a cool itinerary that we're going to talk about today. Lots of really cool stuff that happened on this itinerary, unique and different. There was, some celebrations. So there's just a lot to talk about. I'm super excited to welcome to the show, Virgil. Welcome, Virgil.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you. First, I got to say thank you for your service. You are a retired Marine, Semper Fi. Gotta, acknowledge that. Yeah, thank you for everything that you and all of our service members have done and currently do for our country. It's something that should be acknowledged. Let's jump right in. Virgil, you have like one of the coolest Disney backgrounds ever, I'm going to say. You're also a former Washingtonian, so excited to have somebody else from the Seattle area on with me, although you don't live here in this area anymore. But let's start with where your love for Disney comes from, because you've had a long history with the Walt Disney Company now.
We did. Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate that. So I grew up outside of Tampa, sort of north of Tampa, and we obviously, growing up in Central Florida, had a connection with the parks and, Disney afternoon after school back when Disney cartoons were awesome. And we, and then we got to live through the Renaissance of Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Aladdin and, going through the
Don't
real
Lion King.
Lion King, of course. And just really, there was something about the storytelling of Disney that always was really interesting to me, but the parks obviously kind of being, a little less than an hour away, we'd go over there every now and then as well. And so then after I graduated high school, I worked a couple random jobs like most people do post high school, and ended up, we went to the parks one day and we're headed back over to, at the time, downtown Disney. And I thought, we kept passing that casting building, and I thought, well, now wait a minute. Me thinking it was just, this is where they cast for the TV shows. I thought, well, I'm going to go end up on a Disney TV show. I was being stupid more than anything else, and walked in. Now, granted, I've been in the parks all day, sweaty, wearing shorts and a shirt and, like Nike Huarache sandals and a hat, and just walked in. It's like, hey, I want to see what's going on in here. And they said, well, this is actually where we hire people to work in the parks. I was like, oh, I'd love to work at Disney World. How can I work at Disney World? Just completely naive and idiotic as a 18-year-old kid. And the lady behind the counter, actually, I think she probably just thought I was either an idiot or hilarious or maybe both. So she said, all right, look, go up there, fill out the thing. And I did that. And then they passed me to the next guy who passed me to the next guy. Long story short, 2.5 hours later, I walked out of the casting building with a full-time attractions host job.
Oh,
and
wow.
Just completely on a whim. It had no just whatever. We'll just show up. So I started off working for the esteemed Dr. Nigel Channing at the Imagination Institute.
Oh my God, with Figment as your coworker.
Right. Yep. Shrinking audiences multiple times per day, and also hanging out with Dreamfinder and Figment. Did that for a while. At one point, just again, on a whim, said, hey, so I kind of want to work in guest relations. And they're like, okay, good luck with that. Right. Like that's let's calm down, right? So we had the opportunity, a few of us, to sort of laterally train in guest relations because Animal Kingdom was getting ready to open. So we weren't really actually guest relations people necessarily, but we got to work during the ramp up to help people during that process. And that
like telling
was
people like, oh, go this way to get to Asia, go
right.
this way to get to Africa, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Pay no attention to the dinosaur up there because that makes absolutely no sense, but it's fine. Just go in. It's way cooler when you get it.
It's a really cool. And don't forget McDonald's was in the park back then.
Yep.
Right?
Right. McDonald's French fries. That's, the ketchup and mustard and dinosaur, rest in peace. So the entire opening, it was so funny because during one of our trips back in 2020, I was talking to a gentleman who works at Wilderness Lodge, and we were just kind of joking and laughing about, he had been there for a while, and he said, so you were guest relations float during Animal Kingdom Open? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know your costumes are still like immortalized on the back wall and backstage? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the khakis with the maroon polo shirts that look like bank tellers, because they didn't have enough costumes for us, the actual guest relations costumes. So we looked like, Chase Bank tellers in our maroon Disney polo shirts and khakis. And they've still got a photo of those in the backstage Animal Kingdom area. Just as of 2020. I don't know if they're still there or not.
That's so cool. Oh my goodness. I mean, I remember when Animal Kingdom opened because I went to Walt Disney World in both 1996 and 1998 for different trips. One was one was my 16th birthday trip, and then the other was like my choir trip, my high school choir trip. So I was down there, multiple times. Like when Blizzard Beach was like brand new, right? Like when Animal Kingdom was brand new, right? Like so I remember that. I remember the castle was a cake in 1996 as well. So like this is like
horrible birthday cake.
No, I love that birthday cake, Virgil. I love it. I don't care what anyone else says. I know most people think it was so ugly. I loved it. I thought it was so fun. Like I thought it was just because to me, like I don't know, it was just like fun 25th anniversary like thing, right? Like I just thought that was so cool. And of course now we're past like the 50th anniversary. They were aging ourselves, Virgil, but I kind of love that time. I think the late 90s in Walt Disney World was like so great. The paper fast passes introduced, like
1,000%.
Like
getting your fast friend to do the fast pass sprint. The rope drop, and then you run the fastest, so you're gonna run and pull the tickets.
We'll
exactly.
meet it. Yep. Yeah, I remember rope dropping like the Tower of Terror back then. Like it was just and you could go like a bunch of times at once if you got there right at rope drop, right? So it was just a great time in Disney history. Well, okay, so you worked at Walt Disney World. You worked primarily in Epcot, I think you said, right? And so in attractions, which attractions did you work in Epcot? I got to know. Besides Imagination, of course, you said,
Honey, I Shrunk the Audience was the main, and then Journey into Imagination. Back at that point, it was called Seas IMAG was the unit because it was the Living Seas and Journey into Imagination. So I think like less than half a dozen times would float over to the Living with the Land. I'm sorry, the Seas, but it was just so rare. Mostly, it was almost entirely Honey, I Shrunk the Audience theater, and then Figment. And
that was a good 3D show. I remember that. Yeah, that was
I love it.
Yeah,
I may or may not still have one of the rat tails tied to my park backpack. 30 something years later.
That was the one part. I will tell you, that was the one part of the show I could not stand. Like I had to always I would put like a sweatshirt or something and cover the seat. Because
more than the dog sneezing on you, the rat tail more than getting sneezed on by the dog.
Yes. So for those who don't know, there was this 3D, it was 4D actually, I guess, because they do like some, they blow air on your neck and things like that. But there's this one part where there's like a rat that comes out and it's
thousands of rats.
Thousands of lots of rats.
Yeah, they go running through the theater.
Running through the theater is what they're making you believe. And then out of the middle of the bottom of your seat comes this little string thing, and it flings against your legs to make you, or against your thighs to make you feel like the rats are running beneath your seat. And it was for me, the most terrifying thing, the idea of actual rats running under me. And so I knew it wasn't real, but it didn't matter. I had to cover it.
It was real to you, Sam.
It was real in my head. It was real
to you.
Exactly. Right. It was real in my head. Yeah. And that was actually that was the one part of and to this day, there are certain parts of 3D/4D films where I have to take off the glasses because I get very sucked into it. I feel like it's real, Virgil. I don't know what I'm my imagination. It's actually why I don't watch scary movies. And even when there's a commercial for a scary movie, I literally have to either mute it or change the channel. And it's not because necessarily what I'm seeing is so scary, but I have a very vivid imagination. And if I see a piece of a scary movie, I'm going to take that, and my imagination is going to run with it. I'm going to fall asleep, and my subconscious is going to create a scarier story than whatever that movie was. And I'm going to.
So then you loved Alien Encounter. Then Alien Encounter was your favorite ride in the park.
Oh my God! I loved Skippy, but Alien Encounter would scare the bejesus out of me. I kid you not. I used to not, as a kid, I would not go in you're going to think this is crazy. I go now. I love it. But I did not go in the Haunted Mansion because I was afraid of any haunted houses. I didn't understand that the Haunted Mansion was not scary.
Not a haunted house.
So, right? Yeah. So anyway, I still to this day don't go in any haunted houses. And I didn't go on that Monsters ride in Epic Universe, the big
Monsters Unleashed.
Yes, Monsters Unleashed. Yeah. I did, or Unchained, or I guess is the whatever it's called. Anyway, I went through the queue with Brian, but then I did not actually go on the ride because I was like, nope, I'm out. I don't need Frankenstein and Dracula, and I guess Frankenstein's monster and Dracula and whoever the other one is, but I don't need them. Anyway, I don't need them in my life. I don't need that kind of mess. But okay, so back to Disney. Okay, so you have this awesome history, couple years working at Disney. You go into the Marines. You've moved around quite a bit. You continued going to Walt Disney World for years, right, as family vacations. But when did you dive into my love, meaning Disney Cruise Line?
Yeah. So as one does, the normal career path of going from working for Disney World to joining the U.S. Marine Corps. That's a very typical career progression for many people.
Yeah, lots of people.
Right. Yeah, many people, of course. So we started, my wife and I, we've been together since high school. And when we got married really early in my Marine Corps career, we moved. So we lived in South Carolina, and one of the first dates we went on before, gosh, I got to make sure I get the timing right. Pretty soon, it was after boot camp, but before some of my other training, is I had taken her to the area kind of right by where Flying Fish is. I don't think Flying Fish was there at the time, but right in that area. And our dream was to stay at the boardwalk. And at the time, that was just absolutely financially way beyond anything that was possible. But we went there, and that's where I had asked her to officially be my girlfriend. And that's kind of where we decided, hey, look, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to be together. So the Disney World for us, as opposed to just for each individual, me and her individually, for us collectively, is a really special place. And so then we wanted to take our kids back, right? And so we did that a little bit. But once we started moving west, because my career for some reason we kept moving further and further west. We went from Virginia to South Carolina to Louisiana to Texas, and then we ended up out in Seattle. It was a lot harder, right, to get to Disney World. But in 2014, actually in 2012 rather, we took our kids for the first time, and my oldest was 11, and so we had 11 and 8 and not quite. I think she was just 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly how old she was. We had 3 at the time. And it was our first trip. We surprised them. We didn't tell them. They thought they were going to Nana's. We kind of did the whole thing where we're like, instead of going to Nana's, why don't we get on a plane and fly to Disney World? And so we did the whole Disney surprise thing. And that trip was where, honestly, we kind of fell in love with the idea of the whole planning part of it, right? Because then you decide, well, these dates we could save a little on the resort, so we could spend more money on this, and then and so we had spreadsheets, and I had calling at the best thing about living on West Coast is that your booking window opens at 9 p.m., not at midnight. So back when you had to call Disney Dining right at 9 p.m. to try to get those reservations, back when Victoria and Albert was on the dining plan, if you can even believe that.
Oh my God. Now it's like 3 o'clock in the morning online, because 6 o'clock in the morning online in the East Coast. It's horrible.
Right.
But we still have the best for cruise line, because onboard booking is still at 9 p.m.
oh my God, it's so wonderful. And check-in for sure.
Yes.
But in 2014, so in the Marine Corps, I had been training for a marathon. I got injured. Me and my training partner because we were on active duty, he and I had Marine Corps marathon is really hard to get into. It's one of those that has like a lottery, but we had guaranteed bibs because we were active duty. Well, we had gotten bibs. We were training, but I had to back out because I ended up having to have foot surgeries and wasn't going to be able to do it. And he didn't want to run it by himself. So we both backed out. So several years later, I still really wanted to check the box of running a marathon. So I decided, hey, I'm going to do the Disney marathon because it's Disney World and it's an excuse to drag my kids and my wife back to Disney World. This is 2 years after our big first, trip in 2012. So then we thought, we're flying 5 people all the way over there. I think it was actually my wife, really, honestly. If I think back, I think she was the one who initially said, I really want to try a cruise. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool one day. Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, they have this new ship and we're already going to be there. And, we'll be saving on airfare because we're not flying all the way. It would be rude not to.
It's Disney, Virgil.
Disney, 100%.
This is the fantasy that was new at that time. Yeah.
Newish. Right. Yeah. So I think we went on one of there were 6 or 7 more, inaugural sailings or whatever. They still had the inaugural sailing stuff up on the ship. And I'd really, at that point, we had no idea what any of that meant because it was our first cruise. But we did that, and especially after having been at the parks for 5 days with the marathon and the expo and the marathon weekend and all that, when we got there, it was like I don't know. I don't want to be too romantic about it, but it was like this is everything. Like this is Disney without all of the other chaotic nonsense that we just went through, dragging our kids to rope drop to fireworks for 5 days, plus the expo, plus the cruise, plus some illuminations. And it was just, this is Disney.
You're speaking my love language. Virgil.
Oh my God.
That's how we felt about our first cruise on the Fantasy. And actually, we didn't even have Nathan with us. It was so magical.
It was glorious. And, the midship detective agency and just everything about the fantasy and everything about that experience, I was hopelessly hooked. So that was January 2014. The next summer we did Alaska on the Wonder with my dad and stepmother. And by that time we had 4 kids. We had welcomed our 11-year-old now, the one in Kirkland, the one born in Kirkland. So he was itty bitty. I think he was like 10 months old on that cruise. But again, we loved it was a completely different, there is not a different Disney Cruise Line experience than going fantasy Eastern Caribbean to Alaska on the Wonder. That is the biggest yin yang of Disney cruising, but we loved it every bit as much, if not more. And so at that point we were kind of hooked, but again, we were still in Seattle. So it was still kind of hard to fly way back over. And then to be careful and to be respectful of everyone's opinions, even the ones that are maybe wrong. We noticed a serious decline in the Disney parks and resorts experience under the other Bob. And we just,
you mean the one who bought that ginormous cruise ship from that
Oh,
other company.
dear God.
We'll see. We're gonna see. Listen, I'm holding out. I'm crossing my fingers and toes. We are currently recording this. It's January 16th. So for those who are listening, just to give people context, the adventure is in Port Canaveral right now, but of course, was delayed several months, and from what we've heard, and I don't know I don't think she's going to be delayed anymore, but she's still behind schedule, and so I'm a little bit worried for the people who are gonna be on those first several months of sailings, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, but that was the other Bob who decided to do
Yeah,
that too.
I affectionately call him Umbrella Bob
Umbrella.
because of the hilarious photo of him at the Wish christening when he's standing there holding the Disney Wish umbrella, and he just looks absolutely miserable, and he's standing there doom and gloom under the umbrella, and I'm like, yep, that's all of us, buddy. That's the way all of us feel. Anyway, under that, we still kept going. We went several times, but it was getting harder and harder. The cast member interaction stayed consistent. Cast was exceptional. We noticed that maybe during a couple of our COVID trips, it was a little rough, but how could it not be based on what those poor people were going through on a daily basis, for crying out loud?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But just it got to where the value wasn't there and the experiences weren't there. And so my wife and I were like, well, let's try a cruise. Let's go back. So we went on the Wonder. We did 4 cruises on the Wonder in a row, not because we love the Wonder, just because that's the way it worked out. So we did San Diego, New Orleans, and it was like just the two of us, and thought this is incredible. Like
Yeah. The Wonder
this is the value.
Yeah, the Wonder is also a great ship. I know,
Mhm.
yes, she older? Yes. Does she have some of the amenities that the newer ships have? No, but she's such a great ship, and I think they've done such a good job with the upkeep, in particular on the Wonder, even more so than even on the Magic. So yeah, I mean, if I could only go on the Wonder for the rest of my life, and not be able to go on new ships on Disney Cruise Line, I'd still be okay with that. I'll be perfectly honest. It's such a great one. Now, how many sailings have you been on now? The one we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about. We're not going to go into every detail. I feel like some of this is storytelling your story, Virgil, rather than the story of this particular sailing. Although we'll hit some of the things from this sailing because, like I said, there's some unique stuff to talk about. But how many sailings have you been on now with Disney Cruise Line, including this one, which was a Halloween on the high seas? So this was a fall sailing.
Right. So that was number 7. So we did 1 and 2 in 14 and 15, and then none until, oh gosh, I think it's 22. And then in 20, so now since 2022, here in the beginning of 2026, we're flying. Because we have, we've mixed in Disneyland a few times in there. We've mixed Aulani a few times in there, but honestly, for our vacation dollars, Sam, and we're fortunate in a lot of ways, but we're not, independently wealthy people for whom money is no issue. That's not us. So if we're going to drop, $6, $8, $10, $12,000 on a vacation, we want it to be worth $6, $8, $10, $12,000. And so for us, it's harder and harder to look at a week. And what we're also finding is now that 11-year-old, got his Hogwarts letter, so to speak, and he's now a Gryffindor.
Yes.
So it's hard for us not to do that.
And he's full price too. He's a full price. He's an adult in Disney. So in Disney dollars, if you're over 9 years old, in Disney dollars, you're an adult. So now you're paying full price for his ticket. You're paying full price for his meal. If I will say that they sometimes will let us fudge because they'll let you, because Nathan just turned 12, and there are at Aulani, they didn't care. They let us order off the kids menu. But at the parks, it depends who you get. But this portion is certainly kind of small at the parks, at least. But it just kind of depends. They might let you fudge for a meal, but they don't let you fudge for the ticket at all. The ticket is, and I have to say, one of those things when you think about budgeting, I think a lot of people have sticker shock from the price of the cruise, but I think people forget that the cruise, it's not quite all inclusive, but I'll call it mostly inclusive. Like it's, you've got perhaps a night of a hotel on the front end, and of course, flights if you're traveling from out of town. But like if you're a non-drinker, meaning no alcohol, pretty much everything is included and you don't have to do the add-on stuff. Like the add-on stuff is add-on, but it's not necessary. Whereas at the parks, you've got your flights and your hotel, you've got park tickets, which are so expensive. You've got lightning lanes, let's not forget, and individual lightning lanes. You've got and then food, and the food is insane. That's the other thing that I think is really, and then if you decide to do like add on, like, I don't know, dessert parties and things like that, right? So there's
after hours events.
And
if you don't, as I say that, my wife and I are less than a month away from our first ever sweetheart night at Disneyland. So we still do, but
I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying, right. I'm just saying
we're not taking 5 kids with us to sweetheart night.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I actually think I'm not saying that people shouldn't do parks. I just think if you're comparing them, you got to compare all of the costs together. And sometimes because of, especially with food and especially with kids who eat a lot, or adults who eat a lot, the cruise line will save you money on that for sure.
Oh my God. And what's wild is, especially with our 17-year-old who is on socials, she falls into the trap that all the adults fall into is, I want to try the viral churro, and I want to try the viral this, and I want to get the Mickey Mouse macaron, and I want to get, and so now it's like
I need that popcorn bucket too. Yeah.
Right. Oh, the popcorn buckets. Oh my Lord. I see your Doug. So we've got like
I don't have that many, but there's a rule. One, if a new one comes in, an old one has to come out. The old one goes.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first day on this cruise, we were at a little gift shop, and they have the Mickey Mouse one. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's classic Mickey standing there with his hands kind of out. And if you say, "Hey, Mickey," he's like, "Hi, pal," and he'll start talking to you. It's like, oh my God, that's going home with us. And I still don't know how we managed to not buy it, but we didn't buy it. It was like a huge victory to not buy the talking Mickey Mouse popcorn bucket.
That is a victory. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, well, let's dive in a little bit on this cruise that you took back in the fall. Now you went on, it's a cool itinerary. You went in a Southern Caribbean out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. I see you're wearing a Puerto Rico hat. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Now, was there any particular reason why you decided to sail out of San Juan as opposed to doing a sailing out of, I don't know, Galveston? You live in Texas, right? Or out of Florida?
Well, Galveston, until the Wish ends up in Galveston, wink, wink, in about a year and a half, I think we're probably we don't want to keep, as much as we love the Wonder, we're a little wondered out, just that many wonders in a row, because we went wonder, 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 wish, wish. And so then we did the magic, but like variety, but also, I know when people see my pasty white skin, my freckles, and my red hair, they immediately think that guy must be Puerto Rican. And they would be right, because I am. But my mother and all of her family are from Puerto Rico. So we've been talking for years. We've had 2 near misses with trips to Puerto Rico that we planned, and it didn't work out for one reason or another. So this year, when we saw this itinerary, the itinerary was Southern Caribbean, which we were super excited for. The magic, which we were super excited for, and the fact that it was a round trip in and out of San Juan, we're like, we kind of have to. This is, every year when you look at the release on the schedule, and you're like, well, I want to go on the Treasure, but I don't love the itinerary, or I wanted to do the, Europe, but I've already been on the Fantasy, and see, you're kind of doing but this was a ship we haven't been on, a port that we would love to go to, place we want to go, and we were like, this is it. And the itinerary, the island,
the stars align. Yeah, when the stars align, and you have this perfect itinerary, the timing works, the places you want to go, the ship you want to be on, and it all converges. It's like, I must book that cruise. I have been in that place. In fact, I'm in that place right now. We have a 2027 spring break cruise already booked on the Treasure. We were perfectly happy with that booking on the Treasure. And then literally yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, DVC drops a big bomb and says, hey, you want to go on the Wonder out of San Diego and go on a West Coast cruise that goes up to San Francisco and spends an overnight in San Francisco?
Oh
And also
no.
goes to Catalina and also goes to Ensenada. And guess what? It's a DVC member cruise. So you get all the swag and all the special performances.
Oh no.
So yeah,
And I guarantee there's
and it's
going to
on the
be
West Coast, Virgil. So
and
come on.
there's going to be a shore excursion to Pixar or to Skywalker Ranch. I guarantee there will be one of those too. So yeah. Oh,
There's going to
that
be
sounds amazing.
they haven't said what, but there's going to be some kind of special excursions offered. And I was thinking my initial thought was Skywalker Ranch. Another friend said to me, Disney Family Museum is an option. Right. So there's multiple options that could be. And so I'm like, so the stars are aligning. And so now we're going to have to pivot. But anyway.
So what you're saying is me and my wife need to buy DVC tonight so that we can qualify to book that cruise tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not tomorrow. Yeah. It's February 28th is when bookings open. I think this episode will come out before that. So I'm announcing it now. We're probably booking that on February 28th. It's a free for all. They don't tier bookings based on castaway status when it's a DVC member cruise or a DVC member charter. And so everybody has to call at 7 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern, or sorry, not 8 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, it's just a free for all. You just got to get through that like phone tree fast enough, pressing the buttons, Anyway, but stars align sometimes, and it tells you, and it's the universe telling you that's the cruise or vacation or whatever it is like that you need to do. And so I'm not like a big believer in, I don't know, a lot of spiritual stuff, but sometimes I do think that like there's like some kind of karma going on that's leading me on a particular path, and it's the path I need to then take. So, okay, well, you had a special experience, I would want to say, in San Juan. Your mom passed away, and I'm really sorry about that, Virgil. But this gave you the opportunity to do something really special for her too.
It did, and honestly, I've listened to you guys from, I think episode 3 was the first one that I listened to, and then I've gone back and listened to 1 and 2. I know.
You've been with us a long time. Those were not great episodes, Virgil. I'm going to put that out
okay.
There.
It's fine. They're great now. But I've heard you guys talk a lot, and I joked in the email to you guys, we'll sing a couple verses and a chorus of everyone's favorite song, Only Fools Fly In, on Embarkation Day.
That's right.
And this cruise was that. So yeah, my mom had passed, and so we'd been meaning for a while to memorialize her. So again, all of her family is in Puerto Rico. It's not feasible for them to come here. She died in Florida. And so we wanted to go, we were just going to go there and take her ashes and kind of have a memorial and more of a celebration than anything, because, a bunch of us dressing up in stodgy clothes and going to a church and sitting there and, that would have pissed her off so much.
She wouldn't want that.
Furious.
I wouldn't want that either. I'm like your mom. I don't want anybody. I want you have a party, celebrate me. Don't
put the fun back in funeral. Let's just get it. Yeah. Right. So
let's turn up some music, some good food, right?
Oh, the food. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm really jealous because I'm obsessed with plantains. So
oh God. Yeah. So we were going to go down there, and the purpose was we were going to fly in essentially a day and a half early, just kind of see Viejo San Juan and do that the touristy area with the Fortaleza and all the stuff right there around the down Old Town, Old San Juan, and then do the cruise, and then afterwards spend it with family, and during that time memorialize her. So we're all packing up and we're getting everything in the car. We're going to drive to the airport. So we are about an hour from Love Field here in the Dallas area where Southwest flies out. So we're driving to the airport, and, we've done all of our due diligence. Hey, everybody have anything? Does everybody have their medicine? Everybody have what they need? But in fairness, we were running a little bit late and not quite doing the McAllister shuffle out the front door, but it was something in that, to that end. And we get everything in the truck, and we're driving. And we get about a third of and we're pushing it to get to the airport on time at this point, but we're going to make it. The Waze says we're fine. We're good. We got it going on. We're going to be all right. And for anybody who's ever flown out of love, if you time it well and you don't cut cut yourself too short, it's almost like a private airport, especially because we have a clear plus TSA pre. So basically we have our own private security line out love field. There's like our family and like 3 other people, but you got to get there, right? So we're looking at it. We're like, oh man, this is going to be tight even with that, but we're going to be okay. And we're kind of coming down off the rush from getting out the door. And my 17-year-old in the back says, hey, I think I left my medication at home. And we're like, oh God, here we go. So now we're like calling the pharmacy, calling the insurance company. We're going to call it into okay, what pharmacies do they have? CVS or Walgreens? Do they have so we're just trying to figure out what's there, what's near our Airbnb that we had booked. We're working through that. We're kind of going through there. And as we're calling them and trying to, get the prescription called in and everything, it's just working out okay, it's going to be all right. And then my wife says, I think I left my meds at home too. And we're like, okay, this is not, it's like, all right, so now same thing. It's okay. This is fine. This is fine. We're fine.
Right. This is the thing about it, Puerto Rico, it's still the United States. So your doctors are not sending medications out of country, which a lot of doctors
Belize or
won't
something. Right.
do. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Either won't do or can't do. Yeah.
Right. So we're good. We're like, okay, we'll be all right. So we're driving, and I think I don't remember exactly, Sam, but I think I was holding with either the hotel or I'm sorry, holding with I was talking to somebody. It might have been the insurance company, and my wife who's sitting next to me looks at me and goes, "Honey, where's your mom?" I was like, "What?" She goes, "Where's your mom's ashes?" I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me right now.
I'm sorry. This is like the comedy of errors.
Listen, I said this is a National Lampoon's movie. Is what this is. I'm not Clark Griswold, right? So then I'm calling now, and I'm hanging up with the pharmacy.
Right
now, I'm calling Southwest, and now we're all the way to the point, Sam, where we're like at the exit for the airport. Like we're literally getting off the ramp, and we're talking to her. And I kind of explained to her, I said, so I left my mom's ashes at the house or something, like some weird, and she's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, yeah. So to Southwest's undying credit, she's like, look, this is again, the number might not be exact, but I think it's like $1,300 or $1,500 to change the flights or something like that. She's like, under the circumstances, we have the seats. We'll just move you to the later flight. And it was a major,
yeah, because now you can go back home, you get the ashes, you get the meds, you don't have to worry about all the pharmacy stuff on the other end of things. Oh my goodness, Virgil. Wow.
It was such a blessing, and I really appreciated her. Her name was Andrea. She's amazing. Andrea, I'm sure you listen to the DCL duo.
I mean,
Andrea, we love you.
Listen, a lot of people listen. Why wouldn't she?
Right.
Exactly.
So we turned around and came home and got the stuff, and then we're driving back. And then while we're doing all that, and see, again, now it starts getting just absurd, but we get a message from the Airbnb that we had booked that says, hey, so a water main burst in Old San Juan, and we have no one in Old San Juan has water. And I'm like, what in the heck? So very long story short, because we could be here all day, blah, blah. So they canceled that reservation. So now I'm on the Hilton Honors app finding a hotel. We found an Embassy Suites I think it's called Embassy Suites Resort Casino or something, because I had a casino in the lobby. That was 10 minutes from the cruise port. We booked it. But people, I'd be pounding the desk if Sam hadn't told me not to tap on the desk. Do not fly in on embarkation day. Just don't do it, because what ended up happening is we ended up landing after the Southwest flights changed far later than our connection departed. So we missed the connection. So we were going to overnight in the airport, but we ended up getting a room at the Hyatt there in MCO, which they had a room, which was lucky because there was no Wish embarkation the following day. So we got lucky there, and we ended up getting a room. We went up, we slept for 3.5 hours, DoorDashed some food, passed out, woke up, went back down the escalator right into security, and then got the flight to Puerto Rico the next day. If we had not allowed ourselves that lag time, at best, we would have arrived in San Juan just in time to go straight to the ship for embarkation, having essentially not slept with 3 kids. Which is not good for anybody.
Not good for anybody.
If at all possible, people, for the love, just give yourself extra time on the front end. because we used that extra time and we had that extra day in San Juan. We just, we ran to like Walmart, grabbed a couple extra things we needed, and like went to Ross or something. We just kind of hung out and enjoyed the day. We did end up eating some insanely good Puerto Rican food, and of course, we had a few pina coladas because it would be rude. It would be rude not to.
It would be rude.
Day.
I mean, you have to have, you have to try the local rum if you're in Puerto Rico. So that's really, really, really important.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in Concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
All right. Well, I want to rewind because months before your cruise, you got some random call.
Oh, yeah.
Tell the audience about this random call you received. You happened to be in Washington at the time.
We did. We were like, if we would have stood on a really tall building, we could have waved at you guys and like, hey, we were sitting on a dock on a lake in Redmond. I was accompanying my wife on a business trip because we lived there for 10 years and we still have lots of family and friends there. So we were, I say family, they're our friend family, but we were visiting and we're sitting there on the dock and on this lake and just kind of having this sweet moment. And I get a phone call. I'm like, I'm not going to answer that right now. It'd be weird to answer the call, right? Well, a few minutes later, I look down and you can see the voicemail transcribing. And it's like, hi, this is Stephanie from Shoreside Concierge Services, Disney Cruise Line. And we're calling to offer you a complimentary upgrade at no cost to you to Concierge if you'd be interested in this. So if you are, please give us a call back. No rush. But if we don't hear from you, we will call other people. Just want to let you know, just give us a call back if you're interested. And Pixie-Dusted. I was like, hey, I'm going to make a phone call real quick. To be candid, I thought it was a scam. I was like, there's no way this is real. This kind of thing doesn't happen. But it was real. It did happen. And so we went from a category 4 alpha deluxe family ocean view stateroom with veranda to a concierge deluxe family ocean view stateroom with a veranda. Funny enough, they moved us. They put us in the room. They didn't say, so what room do you want? They said, this is the room. It was 3 doors down from the room we had booked.
Oh, yeah. Because on deck 8, there are regular non-concierge rooms interspersed with the concierge rooms on the Wonder and the Magic. Not on the other ships, they are more isolated. Yeah. So, I mean, there are on the Wish class ships, there's a spot on deck 10 where there's some concierge, or no, sorry, not deck 10, deck 11, where there's some concierge rooms and then next to them are non, but the other decks 12 and 13, they're only the sort of concierge rooms in those hallways. So, but yeah, Wonder and Magic have on deck 8 because in fact, they have converted some of the regular rooms. And basically what you get with concierge in your circumstances, you got the same room type. It's the same. I know it has a different category, but it's the exact same size room. It's the same room with upgraded fixtures and upgraded, linen. So like you have some like wood looking cabinetry, you have some like nicer linens, and then you of course have the Elemis products instead of the regular Disney Cruise Line or whatever.
Not H2O.
Yeah, right. The H2O former H2O products. So yeah, but the real thing you get is the concierge perks, which is the access to the lounge, the early seating in the theater, things like that. So free popcorn. So there are some perks you get with concierge that you of course don't get when you're in the regular stateroom category. Now, you did mention, and I wanted when we were talking pre-show, one of the things that you do have to think about though is, even though you're not paying for a concierge when Disney offers you an upgrade, you are going to pay a higher amount in your gratuities because the team for concierge is bigger, right? You've got more people that are going to be your sort of, I'll call them servers, bartenders, whatnot, because you have all the folks in the lounge, in addition to like your stateroom attendant and your servers at dinner. And so it will increase your gratuities. So it is something to make note of. I would say, unless you absolutely can't afford that difference in gratuities, I can't imagine turning down an offer to go to concierge. And it's going to be, probably still, it could be in the hundreds of dollars, particularly when you have like a family of 5, because each day and each person, of course, there's gratuities attached to that person. But yeah, well worth it.
Oh
Now,
my God, it really was.
yeah, just fantastic. Now, we got to talk a little bit about the cruise because this was your first time on the Magic. What did you think about Disney's original ship? Did you like it as much as the Wonder, the Fantasy, and the Wish, the other ships you've been on?
It's, I know you and Brian have Nathan, so this is a little bit of a strange analogy for your context, but we have 5 kids, and if someone said, "Who's your favorite?" that's a very, very touchy question because you could definitely answer it, but it's going to offend a bunch of people, right? But honestly, there's a different, each of your kids has such a unique personality that if I was going to the grocery store real quick, I have the one that I would prefer to take with me. If I'm going on a weekend vacation, I have the one I prefer to take with me. It's in different contexts, right? The Magic, I don't think there was anything about the Magic that was my favorite, except for the concierge experience, because that's the only concierge experience we've had. The MDRs, the gift shop, the spa, the embarkation experience, the debarkation, none of that with the atrium, none of that was my favorite. But, when you look at the sum total of all the parts as a whole collectively, it was a fantastic experience that I would put absolutely on par with all the other cruise experiences that we've had. I wouldn't rank it number 1 at anything, but I probably wouldn't rank it last in anything either. It was in great shape. The fact that it's almost 30 years old, like what? They're unbelievably well maintained. And it was just a fantastic overall cruise experience.
I have to say, I really love the show offerings on the Disney Magic. I love Tangled. I think it's I love the movie, but I think the stage show is just a fabulous production. I love Twice Charmed on that ship as well. So like it has some really great entertainment. And then of course you gotta love Rapunzel's Royal Table. That's a fantastic main dining room. And then you also get animation magic if you're on, a longer cruise in Animator's Palette. There's so much to offer, I think, as you mentioned, on any of the ships, there's a lot to offer, but there are some things I have to agree with exactly what you said. I'm not sure it takes the number 1 spot in any individual category, but the sum total of its parts definitely make it a fantastic ship and a fantastic, vacation to be on despite her age.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It did fall down in one area in Animator's Palette in particular that you mentioned to me in the show notes that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this for our favorite villain, everyone's favorite villain.
I'm gonna beat on him twice. Just since you're bringing him up, I'm gonna hit him in the face twice. Once is the pasta prosciuttos are fantastic. And anybody who says otherwise, just stop it. Those things are wonderful. I don't like truffles at all, but those things are fantastic. But on this sailing, the pasta, they were, I took one bite and didn't eat they came out cold. The pasta was really thick and chewy, like gummy. It was just, they were really, really bad. And the funny thing is when I ate them, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Sam and Brian, these are horrible. They need to make a phone call and get this fixed immediately.
Listen, Virgil, I already called DCL.
Okay, absolutely. There you go.
I've already been, I talked to Mr. Schott. He's the new head of for experiences,
and Tommy, as we like to call him.
Yeah, exactly. Tommy and I chatted, and he's assured me that he's going to get in the kitchen and make sure that those things are cooked correctly and hot. served hot, because that's really
Someone's head's
important.
going to roll.
Someone's head's
Get
going to
out.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody who works in the kitchen on the Disney Magic is out. No, I'm just kidding.
Send them to the fantasy where they belong. I don't know what that means.
Or send them to the wish class where they don't have truffle per set, so you can't screw them up.
There you go.
You're just gonna send them someplace else.
The other thing that I want to ruthlessly eviscerate DCL villain Josh with is there is nothing better than the onboard greeting. I don't. How can you not just?
I know.
That tell me you're miserable without telling me you're miserable, right? But I will say, to his credit,
he's a man of God. Okay, you gotta be nice to him.
Okay, fine. But in his defense on this, and we'll probably touch it here in a little bit, I would imagine, but the embarkation experience on this was deck one forward. So the way this went
is because of the water levels and stuff in San Juan. Yeah.
But the ramp was super steep. And I remember thinking, I'm glad we're not doing this in a non-motorized wheelchair, because that would be, or even with a heavy stroller, like that would have been. So then you get up there and they're like, okay, can I have your family name? And my 7-year-old was really interested in giving the name. So she gave the name and they're like, all right, Disney Magic, please welcome aboard. And they announce us and we walk in and they're like, yay. And all the cast members are within like 3 feet of each other, shoulder to shoulder. And you take 4 steps and then you're at the elevator bank. And it was so awkward. It was just so awkward because
and then they're like, everybody's crowded because you're waiting for the elevators, because you can't because you can't walk like deck one. There's no way to walk. Yeah, you can't walk to
health center. Just take everybody into the everybody go to the health center and get some Dramamine or something.
You either have to take the stairs up to deck 3 and then walk, or you have to for the elevator. Yeah, that's not as magical of an embarkation experience. Well, you also had something else I thought that was interesting to mention on this show, which is Hurricane Melissa was happening not too far away from where you all were, right? I mean, she had hit Jamaica at that point.
So the week that we're getting, so like Monday, Tuesday, that we're flying out Wednesday night, or as it turned out, Thursday morning, that the week that we're leaving, we're watching the news and we're like, I don't know. Like my wife literally had me like Googling, is it too late to buy cruise insurance? Because like we're looking at it going, there is no shot that this hurricane doesn't on some level mess up this cruise, because they're talking about how it was going to like go south of Puerto Rico, which thank God, because there's nothing that my family needs less than another hurricane like that. But then just sit right there in the middle of the Southern Caribbean and just hang out exactly. Like if you look at the map of the projected track, it was all of our port stops in a triangle around where Melissa was. And we're like, okay, great. So, but eventually it did move, slowly, it meandered slowly west. So really the only like appreciable disruption to our particular experience was the sail away party was in the atrium, but it gave us an opportunity to kind of talk with our kids a little bit about like the real life scenario that was going on around us, because our assistant server was from Jamaica. So night one is when it was making landfall. So the morning, like the afternoon we saw her on day 2, we're like, hey, she's like, I haven't heard from my family, and she was, again, if we wouldn't have asked her, you never would have known. She was fantastic, very professional, very smiley, happy, interacting with our kids. But we knew, because you saw her name tag, right? And we're like you, what kind of human being knows that you're, on a cruise with your servers from Jamaica, and Jamaica's getting crushed, and you're not gonna be like, hey, is everything okay? And then I think it was one of our port stops, and maybe Aruba or not Aruba, maybe Bonaire. We saw her off the ship and said, hey, we don't want to keep bugging you about it, but like, are you? And she's like, no, everybody's good. But we heard from my grandma. That was the last one we hadn't heard from, and everybody's fine. But like, it really it's a good reminder that like these people that are there to make your experience magical, who do such a great job doing so, they are real people with real lives. And whether or not your pasta per sets are edible could really kind of not possibly matter less in the grand scheme of things, right? Like this is a plate of pasta. This is a person who hasn't heard from her mother and grandmother, right? And so, especially my 11-year-old, he asked like, why, what are you talking to her about her family? Like, do you know her? I was like, no, we just the hurricane. We saw that she's from Jamaica, and it was a good opportunity to get to touch base with our kids and kind of say, hey, there's other stuff happening. And, but she, like I said, if we wouldn't have asked her, it wouldn't have even come out. She was unbelievable.
Yeah. I have to say, like, I think it's wonderful when you can teach your kids that lesson of empathy and of caring and asking about others. And like, especially when it's, I don't know what the right word to use is, but people who are kind of serving you, I hate to say, like, because as you said, I mean, these are people who they have a job on the ship. They're making their wages that way and probably sending money home to their families, as many of the crew members do. And like, I think it's always wonderful when you can actually get to know those people and create a relationship. And listen, I know it's a somewhat transactional relationship. I'm not delusional to say like, this person is going to be my best friend, for the rest of my life now. No, I know like this person is my server. I may never see them again after this cruise. Maybe I will. And maybe I'll see them on future cruises. But like, I think it's really important to teach your kids like, hey, this is a human being. This is someone who we should like show our care for and ask them about their lives and who they are, whether or not there's a hurricane going on or, I think it's a great opportunity when hopefully there won't be a hurricane, but it's a good opportunity to have something to ask them about and to really demonstrate your care and understanding for that person. But I also just think it's like wonderful when you make a connection and are able to learn something about a different culture, a different place. And when you show that to your children and you're modeling that for them, I think it's so, so powerful because you will then see them doing it. And I think that the cruise gives a great opportunity for that because our kids in the United States are often quite sheltered and don't necessarily have those opportunities to meet people who are very different from them, who come from a very different background than them. And so for them to be able to interact with that person also is just, it's just really wonderful. So I commend you for doing that and for modeling that for your kids. I think it's really impactful. And I honestly do think that the cast, the crew, they appreciate that as well because they see that you're acknowledging them as a person, as a human being, and is more than somebody who's just there, to serve them. Now, Virgil,
if you're going on the Magic, Lacey, her name is Lacey.
Oh, all right.
She's out of this world great. If anybody's going on the Magic soon, ask to be sat at one of her tables. Nata was our server. He was great too, but Lacey, our assistant. It's weird. It's basically every cruise we've been on with our kids, the assistant server really makes the magic. The servers are great, but every single, like the Fantasy, the Wonder, the Wish, and now the Magic, it's that assistant server that really spends the time joking with the kids and interacting with them and playing with them. And, I know that if you asked our kids about the server, they think that Miss Lacey was their server. They don't understand that Mr. Not, you know what I mean? Like that's not,
it's not their perception.
She was the one that was right. And she was incredible. So we can't recommend her enough. She was great.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny because I think it depends on the team, but we've just, I guess the last few times we've had a lot of very new assistant servers, and the newer assistant servers, some of them may be wonderful, but when they're still learning, they oftentimes don't chit chat as much because they're like trying to just stay out of the weeds. And we've been lucky where we've had some experienced servers but the server makes that personal connection because they are, even though they're juggling a million plates and a million things, they're just so good at it that they can do that and still socialize a little bit with you. But it is, it's just, I think sometimes just unique to whoever that person is, right? If that person is just a warm person who loves making those personal connections, it doesn't matter. It could be somebody at guest services. It could be, a performer. But there's always, I find on every cruise, there's always at least a few, right? I might not make a connection with every cast member that I come into contact with, but you can bet that there's at least a couple that we make a connection with. It's just, yeah. Well, I would be. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say 12 years ago tomorrow was our embarkation day on our first cruise. And I can still tell you our assistant server's name was Val, and she was from St. Lucia, and she's the best cruise cast member we've ever had. So if 12 years later, we still remember the name of our assistant server from the Fantasy all those years ago, Like that's, and it's not because she was great to me or my wife, which she was, but she was great to my children, which to me, that's the
That's
important piece.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't remember our first servers, I'll be honest, on the fantasy, but I sure remember our second servers on the fantasy. That was Pete and Alex. Pete from Jamaica and Alex from France. And Alex is now a server himself. He was an assistant server back then. Yeah. But yeah, there's people who you'll always remember. They impacted your cruise so much. Virgil, I would be remiss if I didn't at least ask you what your favorite port of call was, and and we have to exclude San Juan, Puerto Rico, because obviously that was your embarkation, debarkation port, and of course you have family there, and you had a celebration for your mom's life. I love that. So and you had all of the foods that you probably grew up eating and love. So there's nothing that's going to beat San Juan. But what of the other ports that you went to? What was your favorite, and what did you do there?
Oh man. So I I'll work backwards, I guess. Aruba was great, but honestly, Aruba was my least favorite. I mean, it was a nice. You know, I grew up in Florida, so I've been to nice beaches. Aruba felt like a really nice beach, and it just wasn't. Yeah, it was okay. And Bonaire was great because my 7-year-old is obsessed with flamingos. So flamingos, getting to see actual like flamingos in the wild was great. And I guess I'd split it up 50-50 between Antigua and St. Kitts. Antigua because my wife and I went and made rum. We we are now prestigious graduates of Rum University, or what? Did I write that? Yeah, Rum University, the Academy of Rum.
The Academy of Rum. You are now distillers.
Right. We are professional rum makers. So that was amazing. And the beach that it was at is not real. It literally looked like a Pirates of the Caribbean filming location. It was the prettiest beach I've ever seen in my life, including, Maui, Big Island. Like, it was unbelievably beautiful. And we were sad that we didn't get to hang out at that beach because after the excursion, we had to go back to the ship. But that beach, if we ever go back to Antigua, we're just going to stay at that beach. And then St. Kitts was great because we did a beach day out at Frigate Bay. We did not book that through South Frigate Bay, excuse me. We didn't book that through Disney Cruise Line. We just booked it at the port. But really, you get off the port, you go into a little area there, or you have the ship in the port and go to a little area there. And there are the guys with the damn monkeys. And we're like, okay, we're not doing the monkeys. We're not doing the monkey photos. But we walked around the whole time and our kids kept saying, I want to go see the monkeys. I want to go see them. I was like, okay, fine. Honestly, I think if you ask the 17, 11, and 7-year-old individually, give me your top 3 experiences on that cruise, all 3 of them would have the monkey photo in the top 3. It was just the cutest little photos of the monkey eating the cucumber sitting on their shoulder, and they loved it. So the fact that they loved it,
$20 a piece worth it. Something like that.
It was well worth the money. It was great.
All right. So. Okay, well, Virgil, we have reached that point in the show where I'm going to ask you some arbitrary questions, impose some arbitrary rules, and impose a dash of judgment, or the round that we like to call rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you some Disney favorites and some Disney Cruise Line favorites. For Cruise Line, of course, you can only answer with ships that you've been on. So sorry, you can't answer the Destiny, even if that was the right answer to the question. But we're going to start with who is your favorite Disney character? And of course, the rule with rapid fire is there really are no rules. Disney means everything Disney owns. So, or the only rules that matter are the ones I arbitrarily decide to impose at any given moment. So yeah, who's your favorite Disney character?
Oh man. It's going to be, depending on the day, it's either Tigger or Jack Sparrow, depending on my mood.
Okay, I like it. All right. What's your favorite Disney movie?
I think overall, for the sum total of all of its parts, would probably have to be Aladdin, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. All right. Now, it was super important. Favorite Disney song?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one that I find myself singing in my head and quoting to my children in a sarcastic way is "You're Welcome." So we'll go with that one.
I love that.
Has nothing to do with Lin-Manuel Miranda. It just, of course, is just, it's all,
I think it's a great song. Brian actually we kind of just sing You're Welcome to each other all the time as well. I did think you might cite your song, which is, what is Only Fools Fly In on Embarkation.
Yeah, Only Fools Fly In on Embarkation-Day. Yeah, that's patent pending, trademark,
Right. You're copywriting that one. It's a song. So you're going to copyright that one. Okay, Virgil. I love it. Okay, we're going to shift over to Disney Cruise Line. Walt Disney Theater, tell me, what is your favorite Disney stage show? And of course, it has to be one you've seen, so you can't choose the right answer, which is typically Beauty and the Beast. But yeah, what's or Moana or of course Hercules? But it's okay. You can't choose the best ones, but give me your favorite.
Well, thanks for rubbing those in, Sam. Appreciate that. Man, probably Aladdin, actually. We had a couple technical difficulties during our attempt to see it. They had to stop the show twice, but just the way that they utilize the entirety of the theater was really impressive to me, which makes me even more excited to see, Moana and
the projection
map future sailings.
The projection mapping that they've added in, like, it's next level on the Wish class, but they've added it in on the older ships as well. It just doesn't work quite as well because it wasn't designed in that way. The theaters weren't designed necessarily for the projection mapping, but they do a really nice job with it. Absolutely. Okay. Well, we're going to shift gears over to food, which is, of course, one of the most important parts of a Disney cruise. Which is your favorite main dining rotational restaurant?
Certainly not Worlds of Marvel. Probably, you know what? I think it's Animator's Palette. I think that it's just the nostalgia plus the fact that it's on the Dream class and the Magic class. I think it's probably Animator's Palette overall.
I love Animator's Palette. It's probably my favorite, to be perfectly honest, as well. As much as I love some of the theming in like Tiana's and Rapunzel's, and I love the, Pride Lands. I love Coco. But I probably would pick Animators now too. I don't think I've been asked that question in a long time, but I'm gonna agree with you there, Virgil. I think Animators, it's just so good. Okay, now staying in the category of food, I have to ask you a favorite savory and a favorite sweet item. We start with the sweets because I save the savories the best for last. So a favorite sweet item on a Disney cruise.
Mickey Churro waffles. That one's easy.
Yeah, I love it. All right.
That was not even a thought. Mickey Churro waffles, those are fantastic.
Okay, switching over to the savories. Is it truffle prosciutto or does something else beat the truffle prosciutto? Listen, I'm not saying you have to answer truffle prosciutto because I actually think the chicken parm and palo is better than the truffle prosciutto. But I'm curious as to your thoughts, Virgil.
So this is a really, really weird random niche one, but the amuse-bouche, the first time we went to Remy on the Fantasy. Okay, so we got these little croutons. I still don't know what in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory Violet getting turned into a blueberry voodoo magic it was, but it was this little breadcrumb square that was a perfect fried breadcrumb, but when you bite into it, it explodes tomato soup. That's top 5 things I've ever had in my life. That was
Virgil,
fantastic.
they don't make it anymore.
I know.
And it's wrong. It's wrong. I swear it must have been a Bob Chapek thing.
Call Tommy back.
I'm going to call Tommy back. I'm going to call him. Tell him.
If I could somehow monetize the amount of time I've spent on the internet searching for how to make those at home and found literally nothing, I'd be a rich man. But I can't. There's nothing.
It's so good. And it's like, as you said, it's like voodoo magic. I don't know. And it's like the tomato soup in Palo Brunch. It's that tomato soup, I think. But it's in this just delicious little shell, as you said. Anyway. Okay.
Your brain can't figure out how to process the fact that you're essentially eating a crouton.
Yeah.
That's full of super delicious, very hot soup that should have made the breadcrumbs or the crouton soggy.
Fall apart. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's voodoo magic.
Please, thank you.
Yes, Virgil, that is the perfect answer. You already have won forever, you have already won rapid fire.
Take that, Josh.
Take that, Josh. Okay, now I still want to ask you just a couple more questions though, because we have a couple of questions we haven't hit, which is a favorite activity on a Disney Cruise Line ship.
This is such a cheesy, like dad-coded answer, but honestly, my favorite activity is watching my kids have their minds blown. You know, like whatever we're talking about, whether it's random princess interaction or the unlimited ice cream, you know, oh my God, that was Belle in her, you know, her village peasant outfit, holding a book, walking through the corridor, just Belle's on my vacation. Like the stuff that, first of all, does not happen in the parks at all. And secondly, is the kind of thing that it's like, it's so immersive and so incredibly like, you know, your kids walk away thinking like that was for me. And, you know, every kid thinks that, but those are the moments I think that are the most memorable for me.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Only 2 questions left, Virgil. We're nearing the end here. This is the most controversial of the questions, which is which one is your favorite ship? You, of course, can choose Magic, Wonder, Fantasy, or Wish.
I'm going to cheat, even though every time one of your guests does this, I roll my eyes. Now that it's me in the seat, I'm going to do it. If it's me and my wife, I'll take a Wish class ship. If it's my family, I'll take a Dream class ship. I think that we really, really enjoyed, you know, things that are like Hook's Barbary, all the different opportunities to get a coffee or a cocktail. Like someone finally woke up and realized people like coffee when they designed the Wish class ships. It's like,
Right.
you know, thank you for putting somewhere other than Cove. I'd prefer they didn't hide the Cove Cafe as a result.
Yes, agreed.
But I'll take what I can
like,
get, right?
Yeah, but you have like 4 different places you can get
Right.
coffee. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But
You'll
with our
find
kids, I cannot wait to take the 2 that are in the prime Disney age, the 7 and 11-year-old, on the Dream or the Fantasy, to do all those things like the better Edge and Vibe, the better Oceaneer Club Lab, you know, the Midship Detective, all the stuff that's in that prime age. That's I'm looking forward to taking them and letting them do that stuff, because my now 24 and 21-year-old, you know, they did that when they were way back in that prime.
God,
you know,
have these like 2 generations of kids. Like,
and then my poor 17-year-old in the middle. Yeah. She's been around for both phases. Yes. Right.
Oh, that's
She's going to hit gold on our next cruise. She'll hit gold. And she's like, I just been around from the beginning.
awesome.
You know, it's fine.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, the last question, of course, is your bucket list cruise, Virgil. If you could go anywhere in the world on a Disney Cruise Line ship, it doesn't even have to be someplace that Disney Cruise Line currently goes. Where would you go?
I would like to take a Wish class ship on a repositioning anywhere, whether it's Panama Canal, eastbound transatlantic, westbound transatlantic, you know, Vancouver to Honolulu to Australia, whatever, because I just want an obscene amount of sea days on a Wish class ship to feel like, because I've been on the Wish twice for 4 days each and feel like there's so much that I haven't seen, that I want to sit, you know, on a Wish class ship for 10, 14, 16 days and be able to just do all of the things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tell you, for you, I would pick the Destiny. I think you'd really like the immersiveness of the entertainment experiences. I think you'd, although you also are a parks person, so maybe the Treasure, I mean, it's kind of toss up between the Destiny and the Treasure, I'd say, for you, because I think you'd like some of the more immersiveness of the Destiny, even more than on the Treasure, but you probably would like the parks theming on the Treasure. So, but you got Casking Cannon. You love Jack Sparrow. So yeah, that's why, again, toss up between the 2. I guess you'll just have to do both. Now, Virgil, as we're at the end of the show, and Brian's not here, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you the important question, which is, what's next? Did you get that placeholder? Do you have something booked, or what, or what's on the horizon for Virgil plus 5 kids and wife?
Did we get the placeholder? Come on. Like, we're not new. Of course we got the placeholder.
We're already singing that song. Of course we got the place. That is the it's by the same, same music and lyrics as Only Fools Playing on Embarkation-Day.
Right. Of course. Although I got to give a shout out to my wife. We were literally, we're doing the express exit concierge where they take you down and whisk you right off. We were literally like 4 or 5 people behind the little security where you tap off the ship for the last time, and she goes, "Oh my God, we didn't buy the deposit." So we literally got out of line to stand right out there on deck 1 forward to get the deposit on the app before we lost the ship Wi-Fi. So
I love that.
So yeah, that's shout out to my amazing wife for getting that cruise deposit. So what's next is we are doing Europe this year. If we get a good military rate, we may do it on Disney. Otherwise, we'll do it on Royal Caribbean. And then after that, for our 25th anniversary cruise in February of next year, January, February-ish, we're either going to do Treasure or Destiny. We were totally sold on the Treasure until we started seeing the stuff come out of the Destiny. And now we're just kind of like, I think we're still leaning Treasure, but Destiny is, right in there as well. So
they're both, I don't think you can make a wrong decision between the two, except if we do the Destiny, I would highly recommend the 5-night over the 4-night, just because there's so much to do on that ship, right? And especially if you're not going to do, if you're going to do a back-to-back, you can do a 4-night, but if you're going to do just one cruise on the Destiny, I'd highly recommend a 5-night. And of course the Treasure is doing 7 nights, so that's perfect. So you can't go wrong with either decision, but Virgil, you'll have to keep us posted. We'd love to have you. Well, I'd love to have you come back on the show, and I make the rules, as everybody knows, on, from this show. But with that, I'll just say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story with me and with our audience. I just really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate you guys, or you and, Brian, I guess, also the other guy. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes, so please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo, or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly, or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.